Chapter 3. Stay as long as you need. Tal shook Marcus's hand earnestly, the sea breeze caressing their sharp-tailored suits. Truly, I don't want to imagine what you must be dealing with at this moment. Your generosity in the matter is exceeding. Marcus pulled at the handshake affectionately. Thank you. Tal, with his dazzling white smile and gleaming tan skin, leaned into me. A pleasure to meet you too, dear Bonnie, he said quietly, kissing each of my blushed cheeks. The pleasure is mine, I answered cordially, giving him my full attention and getting a strong whiff of his cologne. The man had good taste, I'll give him that. 4 butlers chaperoned us to a beautiful table out in Tal's palatial oceanfront gardens, a table filled with an assortment of food. Anything I could think of was there. Eggs, bacon, turkey, bacon, breakfast sausage with all the sides, sautéed spinach, mushrooms, cereals, breads, pastries, more croissants, juices every color of the rainbow, strong fresh coffees and tea, and it was never ending. Big sigh. Look, let's just say, Tal put it on. What a thoughtful man. He even had Marcus's favorite paper, the Financial Review. Marcus was going to be pleased. I eyed him quickly. Yep, he was. I must make a meeting mid-morning, so I'll not take your time, Tal said quickly, walking us to the large Calacatta stone table, flanked with crisp white table linens. Would you join us for a moment? Marcus pressed him, sitting down. The butler quickly came and beckoned Tal with a fresh coffee. A quick coffee? Of course, I will. Tal was used to being waited on. His butlers knew exactly how he liked everything. They fussed around him without so much as a flinch from Tal. Hey, you know that rematch is happening between Golovkin and Alvarez? Tal draped his own napkin over his dark trousers. His very obvious Italian loafers were gleaming. So I heard. Marcus sat back in the cushioned chair, relaxing finally. He turned to me with piqued interest. That's a fight worth watching. I smiled, happy that Marcus was distracted, if but only for a moment. Are you into boxing, Bonnie? Tal wondered politely. Sorry, Tal. I couldn't tell you anything about it, I remarked quietly, being served fruit and yogurt. I knew my place. I didn't want to talk too much in front of the men. Well, there's a first for everything, Tal grinned at me, watching the butler carefully place a piece of sourdough toast beside him. Maybe a fight night could be a date for your calendar. What do you think? Marcus glanced at me with his sleek, dark hair glinting within the morning sun. He looked dead tired. Poor honey. Sure, why not? I answered with anticipation. So, do you plan to be in Europe long? Tal asked delicately, sipping his hot espresso. Undecided at this stage, Tal. Marcus sighed heavily. Understandable. Tal nodded quickly. You know, I have my house in Aspen for your disposal at any time you wish also. Thank you. Marcus nodded warmly. A change of scenery will do us all good. I watched the early morning beachgoers running along the shoreline in the distance. I admired their discipline. That was pretty much non-existent in my life at this moment. I inhaled softly, peering over at the long pool flanked by sharp hedges and a very old grove of olive trees. This house was new, yes, but the trees were certainly not. I'd imagine Tal got them imported from some ancient land. The things money can buy. Mal's 60th is coming up soon. Tal took a small bite of his honey-buttered toast, the sun glistening on his smooth forehead. Did you get an invite? Wouldn't have a clue. Marcus laughed, crossing one leg over the other. Actually, Marcus did get an invite, I assured politely. That's my job. Was your job, Marcus corrected quickly. Tao laughed, sitting back in his chair. He certainly wasn't going to touch that subject. He put his empty cup on the side of the table, only for it to be dutifully replaced by a fresh one soon thereafter. Butler is a mind reader. I glanced up at his young face, only happy to oblige. Well, it's not for months and months, Tao gasped dramatically. Anyone would think he's planning a wedding. We all laughed. Well, Mal's never been one to do things by half measures, Marcus added, piling his fork with bacon, beans, and sausage. He was hungry. I doubt I'll be going. Tao nodded slowly, choosing his thoughts carefully. Not even sure where I'm going to be at that time of year. Too far ahead. He quickly emptied his second espresso and got up from the table. We all simultaneously stood to our feet. Even when you come back, this house is yours. Tao held out his hand, assuring Marcus of his loyalty. Ah, you're a good friend, Tao. Thank you again. Marcus shook his hand firmly. Tao widened his arms to embrace me. Bonnie, mwah, mwah, you're dazzling. Mwah, mwah. It was crazy. Thank you, Tao. I flashed him my best smile. Must have been the Mikimoto Tahitian pearls around my neck, because I certainly wasn't feeling dazzling. I was tired as hell and could sleep for an epoch. Tao quickly turned on his heels and briskly walked out of the gardens, back into his castle, clacking away with the two butlers biting on either side of him. We quietly sat back down, and the other two butlers moved away from us. Marcus, looking a little relaxed, held out his hand and grabbed mine. How's your arm, baby? I squeezed it gently, giving him a soft smile. Oh, sore, he muttered in between forkful bites. I feel like there's shrapnel inside, or something. Doesn't feel right. Do you want to get it checked out before we go? I asked, listening to the seagulls passing overhead. No, my lady, we might make a quick stop in New York to visit my doctor there. Whatever you want, puppy. Marcus squeezed my thigh and then kept shoveling his mouth with his one working arm. It wasn't before long that we were huddled back in the blacked-out range and on our way to the Santa Barbara airport. Marcus's mega 747 private jet was refueled, restocked, and gleamed like a diamond, awaiting our arrival one more time. We wandered out on the tarmac, the fresh morning breeze cavorting around our bodies, listening as those monster engines were slowly ticking over. I watched the people along the fence taking pictures, not the media assholes, just regular bystanders admiring the jet. It was a sight for sore eyes, for sure. The luxury of not dealing with baggage, long lines, sharing laboratories, and that whole world of commercial flying was something I could easily conform to. The crew, as before, lined up, waiting for us with Marcus shaking each of the pilots' hands, not to mention the ever-beautiful air hostesses, graciously nodding with their warm smiles, and only minutes later, we took off, and we were climbing upwards of 35,000 feet in the air. The trip was uneventful. For most of it, we remained in the master bedroom sleeping. The last several days had just taken the life out of both of us, and I, for one, was beat. But as we slowly descended into Titubar, I felt the New York vibe slide over me, and I quickly got dressed in my smart white silk trousers with a lovely silk cream blouse to match, dotted, of course, with that set of black Tahitian pearls. I love that you brought these, Marcus pulled me in between his legs, on the edge of the bed, running his fingers over the bulbous pearls. You look beautiful in them. You and I have different definitions of packing light. I rubbed his face, helping him get his sweats off. Don't I know it? Marcus smirked, pulling his feet out of his sweats. Now come on, darling. I hurried him. Let's get your clothes back on. Yes, I had the task of dressing Marcus. I suspected something else was going on with his arm, because even though the bullet wound was up in the bicep, it hurt to even touch it. He wore his signature black trousers, a loosely unbuttoned black barrel cuff dress shirt, and a tailored black blazer. He was the shiz. It took us an hour to get into Manhattan, all the way to Dr. Harid's Midtown office on Fifth Avenue. As the town car weaved through the bustling, busy streets of New York, I felt very nostalgic at how my life was unfolding in this whirlwind with Marcus Almeida. It felt like a century ago now, but in my first couple of years of being in the US, I moved to New York City on a whim after someone had told me how amazing the city was. I was broke as hell. I didn't even have my green card at that point and quickly ran out of money. I went door to various cafes, pizzerias, and restaurants looking for work, and by the end of the week without a job and living with a strict Chinese roommate in Harlem, through my tears I begged the Lebanese manager at Roxy's Deli in Times Square to give me a job, even just working for tips. And he did. I ended up moving out of Harlem and went up to East 169th Street in the Bronx with a bunch of Nigerian brothers and had the time of my life, living with them through the blistering and unforgiving cold of the New York winter. I glanced out along Central Park, whizzing me by with Marcus holding my hand on his lap. Marcus Almeida, mogul Marcus Almeida, billionaire and babe. How the tables have turned. I smiled to myself. Pinch, 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 pinch. What? Marcus murmured, peering ahead. I used to live here many years ago. I sighed quietly, glancing out the window. Really? He perked up, still peering ahead. Mateo's patience was wearing thin as we were cut off by oncoming traffic. Yeah, I did. I lasted no longer than 5 months. I smiled. Worked on tips the entire time I was here, eventually saving enough to get back to LA, the land of dreams. Jefe, we'll be at the doc's office in less than 5 minutes. Mateo called from the front, looking at Marcus in the rearview mirror. Gracias, Mateo. Marcus nodded. He turned his attention back to me. The land of dreams, huh? Yeah. I grinned at him, my face an inch from his. Look at what happened to me. And look what happened to me. Marcus glared me down with eyes like he wanted to get it on in the back of the car. I glanced at the rear view mirror at Mateo, smirking. I knew that vibe. It was getting fuzzy in the back. I then peered at the beefheads behind us in their big black SUV. They were never too far away from us. Well, yeah, look what happened to you. I glared down at his arm. Marcus, still smiling, shrugged. Doc's office, Jefe. Mateo pulled sharply against the curb. I'll wait for you around the back of the building. Muchas gracias, Mateo. We climbed out and got lost in the crowds of pedaling pedestrians. New York City is no joke. Fast-paced and fast-moving, a far contrast to the lazy, blue-sky life of Montecito. But the good thing was that there were no photographers and no cameras. What utter bliss! Yet in saying that, Marcus himself was immediately noticed on the street, which was a usual thing for him. Casual as ever, he didn't even bat an eyelid. Chapter 4. Shrapnel, Marcos, Dr. Harid explained with his pincers, pulling out fragments of bloody mess. Lots of it, but we have most of it out. He pulled his mask off his face and dropped the medal on the assistant's plate. You should have seen me sooner. Well, it only happened a few days ago, Doc. Marcus protested. You should have seen me sooner. Dr. Harid reiterated sternly over his glasses. It would have saved you the grief. Hard to get away from the madness, Doc. Marcus lay back, shifting his head. I can only imagine. Dr. Harid glanced down at his face and then up at mine. Dr. Harid was hard to read. The serious and stern type, he certainly had no qualms about himself, and Marcus had been seeing him for more than 10 years. The married to his profession type of guy. The type that would have had a bed in the back of the office, most probably. Sometime later, we finally made it out of the doctor's. Marcus was freshly bandaged and doped up, and Matteo dropped us off at the Sherry Netherlands on Central Park. We're gonna stay here for the night. Marcus grabbed my hand, walking by the doorman, giving him a tilt of his head. You got a place here? I wondered, my pencil-thin heels clacking against the marble floor. It's my New York apartment, Marcus muttered quietly, nodding to all the staff. It's obvious they knew him well. Their perturbed stares lingered when they saw me latched onto his arm. I glanced over my shoulder as we passed. All eyes glued on us. Who could blame them? It must be shocking to see another woman on Marcus's arm, other than his wife's. At least no one had cameras. Greetings, Mr. Almeida. Great to see you again. The lift man chortled warmly, pressing the button for the 18th floor. How's the girls, Frank? Marcus shook his head. Very well, sir, thank you, Marcus said with cheer. Forever keeping me on my toes. Haha, no doubt they are. Marcus smiled toward me. Frank, this is my partner, Bonnie DeHaro. Oh, very pleased to meet you, Miss DeHaro. Thank you, Frank, I gently smiled. And you too. The elevator doors soon opened up to an unworldly sight. I was spellbound. I should know, when Marcus says my apartment, to not expect the obvious in the word. This was no apartment. This was a palace. His apartment took up the entire 18th floor. The views were breathtaking, and it even had 2 garden terraces meticulously cared for. I could see the Plaza Hotel in the distance, and even the Empire State Building, and over my shoulder was Central Park. Apartment, my ass. Well, honey, I mused sarcastically, glancing around the lavish surroundings. Some apartment? Marcus shut the door behind us. I noticed our bags had already been neatly put inside the master bedroom. He grabbed me and squeezed my waist as good as he could with one arm. I thought you might like it, he murmured quietly, staring into my face. We're finally alone. Yes, we are, Papi. I raised my eyebrows excitedly, kissing his soft lips. So we're gonna stay here the night and fly out early in the morning, straight to Spain, Marcus said, his dark eyes eager. Lucas and Philippe are on their way over. We have some meetings at the Four Seasons with some Arab gentlemen. Arabs? I gasped, surprised, rubbing his back. You mean like Middle Eastern Arabs? I glanced down at my brown birkin on the miles of finely knotted silk carpet. Yeah, Middle Eastern Arabs. Marcus pulled his pelvis into mine. From Abu Dhabi. Talking about what, exactly? I wondered curiously, getting lost in the mystical lives of these men of the desert. Oil? Business. Marcus grinned, not letting the cat out. Sokolov will be there too. Haven't seen him for a while. I smirked fondly, remembering him in Shanghai, flocked with a gazillion Russian models who joined us on our infamous 10-course meal. Why don't you go shopping and buy yourself a nice dress? We'll join them for dinner at Budokan. Dinner's for 9. Gah, who is that? I reached down and grabbed my cell out of my Birkin. Sorry, honey. I glanced at the screen. Hey, Bon, it's Massey. Long time, girl. I feel so bad for Marcus right now. I can't effing believe it. In New York City with girls visiting Granny. Kiss, kiss. Oh, wow, Massey's in New York. I gushed, looking wide-eyed at Marcus. I should meet her. Well, I'm going to be gone for several hours. Why don't you? Marcus suggested. Tell her to come here. She'd want to see you too. I burst out laughing hard. Big fan, girl. See how we go. Marcus chuckled, fobbing it off. I'll be leaving shortly. Walking around this apartment, it's as if Marcus hadn't even left. Fresh linens and clothes laid out, food in the kitchen and fridge, all freshly made. It is unbelievable that on a whim's notice, everything is done for him prior to our arrival. The place is grand, with a slight French Renaissance feel, and bright sun sprawling in over the lounge chairs and parquet wooden floors. It was magic. You want some food, my lady? Marcus called from the bathroom. Cipriani's is downstairs. I'll bring it up for you. I'll take a look at the menu after, puppy, I answered, wandering out onto the sprawling garden terrace. I breathed in deep as the hot sun streamed over my face, taking a gulp of that fresh New York air. I pulled out my cell phone. Hey, Massey, your timing is impeccable. Marcus and I just landed in New York City. Come to the Sherry Netherlands if you're free. We're here for the night. Kiss, kiss. I wandered back inside and opened the fridges. The food looked sublime. Sushi, sautéed greens, sliced meats, yogurts, salads. Just like at Tal's. They put it on for us. Oh, okay, no problem. Marcus strolled in from the bathroom, his cell phone glued to his ear. I'll be there soon. He hung up the call and looked up. That was Lucas, he said, leaning against the kitchen bench. A smirk grew across his face. I would sit you up here. I grinned, entertaining the thought. Oh yeah? Does it bring back memories? I whispered, getting up onto the blue marble counter and undoing the zipper of my white trousers. Yes, it does. Marcus shared my breath, his lips only barely touching mine. He wanted it, and so did I. He gently pushed my thighs open with his good arm and nuzzled his way into my pelvis. The air grew thick between us as he pushed my neck back with his fingers. Flashes of Marcus's Hope Ranch estate flooded my mind. The red lipstick smeared up his arms, the ripping of my dress. My sight was glazed with the memories. Oh, no! My cell phone snapped us out of it. I groaned, so disappointed. It totally killed the moment. Oh, I gotta go now anyway, baby. Marcus parted from me with a deep kiss. Get whatever you want today. Enjoy yourself. I zipped my trousers back up and Marcus grabbed his briefcase, heading towards the door. I'll see you later, puppy, I called out to him, pulling myself off the counter. Just before he closed the door, he glanced at me. I love you, he muttered, that handsome dark face glinting under the chandelier. Ah, flawless creature.